Today we're going to talk about the U.S. Senate election in Maine. You know now, Platner, the Democratic candidate, Democratic nominee, has now left the race. So this is a very important news if you are from Maine. Also, if you are interested in this race, because this is one of the most important races all across the United States. So right now, Susan Collins is in a much better position, I would say. Before the scandals, before all of the news inside Graham Platner's past, now I think Susan Collins is in a much better position, even though, of course, it was much better for her if Platner stayed in the race. But fortunately for the Democrats, he's now gone. He won't be the Democratic senator from Maine. We know that is for sure. But this is very important because we got a primary, and as you can see here, these are the results. Graham Platner was elected, the nominee, Democratic nominee, with 72% of the vote. It was not a close primary at all. Janet Mills that said, I'm not actually suspending my candidacy. I'm only suspending my campaign, not my candidacy here. And she only got 19%. Governor of Maine only getting 19%. Platner got 72%. 156,000 people in Maine voted for him. What does that mean? That means it's almost it's like half of what Collins got in 2020 in the general election in a presidential year. So this is so important. You can argue that those 156,000 is the largest number of votes in Maine's history. So that's also important. You can argue that Platner had a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people voting for him, a lot of actually progressive enthusiasm in his candidacy, and now he's gone. As you can see right now as well, because Platner was able to withdraw from the race before the deadline, this means we'll have a new process now, as you can see here, to select a new nominee. We'll have a state convention in the Democratic Party to actually select a new nominee. We do have here a lot of candidates. As you can see here, many of the candidates for governor in Maine, I can show you right here. So let's go to the governor. This is the primary results. You can see here, Nirav Shah is there, Troy Jackson as well. So you have a lot of guys here, also shown below. So a lot of candidates that were in the governor race, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to win, because of course Hannah Pingree was able to win that. We cannot go granularly to by county or by township here, but you can see here this Pingree got 56% in the ranked choice voting, even though she was second, but that doesn't matter because ranked choice voting is different, and that is the way it is. But right now we do have a lot of polls. We do have a lot of polls right now. As you can see here, Platner was ahead by 0.7 when you compare even these Fox News polls, which, Fox, you can argue it has a bias to the right. I agree with you. But in terms of the polling, it's actually quite correct. And then you can see Collins +3 after all of the scandals. Before, of course, it was Platner ahead by a big margin there. As you see here, the odds, this was before Platner scandals. It was over 70%. And then he went up very close when he got the first wave of scandals. Then he went up again, and then he went close again. This is Polly Market. Yeah, Polly Market odds. And then it became very, very close, because we didn't know if Platner was actually withdrawing from the race, and now he's going up because Platner is out. We might see a moderate, a less controversial, I would say, candidate in Maine. But as you can see here, this is the two last elections for Collins. Of course, this was not real, and below here you can see this is not a real opponent, but and Collins was able to win this by 9 points. 9 points. And I just want to say very cautious to you. I want to say you should be cautious about this race. Even though Platner's ahead in the polls by 2 points, that is 0-0 margin. This is the 2020 polls. I'm here in an RCP average. As you can see here, this is the basically the polls we got. As you can see, this is not a poll. This is the final result. Collins won by 9. And as you can see here, all the polls were the Democrats ahead by 5, by 4, by 12, even Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is terrible. No offense to the guys there, but they don't do a great job when it comes to polling. They always overestimate the Democrats, and that is not good. That is not great for the polling industry overall. As you can see here, by 12. That is no way. That was a huge error by more than 20 points. That is not possible. And as you can see here, all the polls had the Democrats ahead, and Collins won by 9. This means the polls, at least in 2020, of course, they underestimated Republicans over the course of all the states there. But in Maine, it was terrible. For the Senate specifically. As you can see here, this was Trump. Trump, of course, lost Maine by almost 9 points. By more than 9 points, 9.1. As you can see here, of course, this is the more populous area of Maine around Portland or Argus. So you know that. That's very, very normal to be. The part next to the ocean is usually when we have the larger number of population. Portland, of course, the biggest city of Maine, he voted 80% plus for Biden. When it comes to the senatorial election, he was only 68%. So you see here, Collins is better where? You know that. You know, because every time you compare a candidate to Trump, it was a more moderate candidate like Susan Collins, you would get a candidate doing much better where? Suburban areas, urban areas, white voters. We can't agree. That's what Portland is about, what August is about. Bangor, you can go to Bangor. Look at this. Bangor was Biden won there by 21, and look at this Bangor here. I want to show you. But of course, Collins won by 1, so you can see here 21-1, 22-point shift. Of course, we saw more of that overall across all the places in Maine. You can go to August as well. Augusta here. This is a 6-point swing. If you go here, this was a 11-point swing. So you see here the difference happening in Augusta, in Bangor, in Portland. This is the big cities. Ultimately, what will decide is this area here. So the Democratic candidate, if of course they want to win this, he needs to go here. He or she needs to go here around Portland and turn out voters, because this is so crucial to get above 80%. I would say even 80%. 75% is probably more than enough, but you need to go to Portland, to South Portland. This area here is so important. It's more or less the Maine 1st congressional district, even though this time we'll have a very competitive race in the 2nd congressional district in Maine. So that's why this is so important. Maine can be very important, not only for the House, because you have a competitive race in the 2nd district, and also in the Senate, because this could be ultimately the decisive factor in terms for the Democrats to actually get the majority in the Senate, because it's so hard. They need to win, as you know, they need to win Texas, they need to win Ohio, they need to win Iowa, they need to win Maine, they need to win North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina, I mean, it's very easy because Roy Cooper is such a fantastic candidate. But, I mean, when it comes to the rest of the states, it's not so plausible, I would say. I mean, Texas, it was a 14-point win for Trump. I mean, this is not a video about Texas, by the way, but this is just the point I want to make. This was Trump winning 2020, Kamala Harris win in 2024. Since here, of course, you have the more conservative part, the more rural part. This is very small. I mean, you can go here. This is actually one of the largest, I think, the largest communities, townships in Maine. If you go here, that's also a large one. I'm trying to find smaller. Look at this, 700 votes. Here you have like 90 votes. So this is very small. I have like 400 votes. 200 votes, so it's very small in those areas. That's why these townships, they're very small, but they count, and most of them, they only have 1 precinct or 2 precincts at most. If you are a Democrat, you need to do great here in this region. When you go from here to Lewiston, also a bit of Augusta here to this area, and even if you consider Bangor, you don't need to consider Bangor, to be honest. You need to do well here. If you do well here, if you turn out voters, if you turn out young voters, because Platner was able to turn out a lot of young people that are not happy with the current system. They are not happy with the current situation of things, and he was actually able to turn out those people, to energize those people, also people that don't vote usually in elections because they're unhappy with the current system, and they saw in Platner a solution. And I mean, it doesn't matter what you think about the guy, but he was able to turn out people. He was able to get the largest number of votes in Maine primary history, and also I thought before the scandals that he was able to win Maine by 5 or even 10 points against Susan Collins, that is almost undefeated incumbent in Maine. But she said, and I will say this thing here because I need to be fair to everyone. She said, I will only serve 2 terms, and now she's heading for 30 years in Senate. So that is not 2 terms at all. Guys, this was a video. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like as well. This is very important. I'm going to be back here on I think Wednesday with another video about the Arizona primaries, because this is coming next week, and on, of course, July 23rd, and I'll be here 21st, and I'll be here covering everything. Thank you so much.